The irony, a Black attorney suing the Department of Labor for mistreatment. It's a hell of a thing. Put it up full mass. That attorney, Oscar Hampton, formerly a regional solicitor for the department in Philadelphia. Hampton has been fighting his demotion and eventual dismissal for 2 years. At first, he fought it internally, and now a lawsuit has been filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. Reporting from Jill Jordan Sider at Atlanta Black Star breaks it down. Let's rewind. Before his firing in September 2023, Oscar Hampton was a top civil litigator who had worked at DOL, Department of Labor, since 1989 and led his office's legal team to victory in an overtime pay case with a jury verdict award of $22 million for 7,500 workers at Battery Maker East Penn, one of the largest verdicts in the department's history. Even as he presided over that complex employment law case, Hampton alleges that he faced retaliation from white supervisors for complaining about desperate treatment, systemic discrimination, and a hostile work environment that he and other Black lawyers were contending with at the DOL. Now, according to his lawsuit claims that in response to his complaints, his supervisors launched an investigation into his management style, made false and unsubstantiated allegations against him, demoted him, unfairly denied him pay and bonuses, and damaged his professional reputation before terminating him. According to his complaint, throughout his employment, certain white attorneys targeted Hampton and other Black managers with racist and biased complaints based on racial tropes, complaining that Hampton was, quote, overbearing, intimidating, confrontational, and aggressive. Those are all of the qualities I look for in my attorney. Every single one of them. Y'all didn't say that when he got y'all that $22 million. Okay. So one white attorney, Judson Dean, referred to the Black female attorneys who worked under Hampton as his, quote, flying monkeys, and leveled unfounded accusations of incompetence against them, the complaint says. Mr. Dean later complained that Hampton, quote, just powers over people. Oscar Hampton is physically imposing and has one of the deepest and loudest voices, end quote, which the lawsuit deemed to be invoking the racist stereotype that Mr. Hampton was a big, scary Black man. So Mr. Hampton complained when Hampton complained to his direct supervisor, Stanley King, the deputy solicitor for regional enforcement, about such racial slurs and other harassing and discriminatory conduct. King took no steps to investigate or correct it, which, by the way, is a complete violation of Department of Labor rules. Nanda directed King to investigate the matter, but he did not. The complaint says, instead, King posed the question to ask Dean to solicit complaints from other attorneys to support a discriminatory and retaliatory investigation into Hampton. That internal investigation over the next 2 years found that Hampton had bullied his staff and created a toxic environment where his subordinates feared reprisal for disagreeing with him and pursuing suspected violations of laws and regulations. So in 2023, Oscar Hampton was fired. In September 2023, Hampton was terminated from DOL altogether in a notice that stated he should be removed from federal service due to the results of the investigation of the alleged misconduct. He's now seeking to get his job back, be awarded punitive and compensatory, the DOL to revamp his anti-discrimination policies and those policies and procedures. So I try to look at stuff from the lens of where I'm from, Glenwood Road, because we can get caught up in the complexities of the back and forth and the legalities that are involved. Here's the one thing that did it for me. It's not the fact he won 22 million. It's the fact he's been there since 1989. I don't see a professional man of any job being somewhere since 1989. And then all of a sudden, he decides to simply, well, let's just say underperform and be overbearing. If he was overbearing for a long time and they had no issue with it. Matter of fact, it may be an overbearing type of industry. Maybe part of his success, who knows? But it has nothing to do with his job performance. Believe that brother had that job since 1980. Now, do you know how many administrations he survived? All right. Mondale, it's quite a miracle in this era for a Black man in particular, regardless of education and professional ability, right? To have a job at one place that's highly political at times since 1989.
34 years, Doc.
Yeah.
People need to understand what that means. Let me paint that.
And he want to come back, Mondale.
And he's trying to come back. Let me paint that time span for people. 1989 to the time that man was let go is the equivalent of 1955 to 1989. He did that job in the same time from 1955 to 1989. Imagine all the changes that happened then imagine all the changes happening. And it wasn't until he started complaining, whistleblowing about the racist actions happening in that department that he was retaliated against, which is also illegal against federal. If you are a whistleblower about something happening at the federal level in a federal agency, you should not be retaliated against, right? So this man was targeted. His supervisor said, not only are we not going to investigate your claims of discriminatory practices, we're going to find people to support our actions against you. And then you use the base tropes against Black men. He has a loud voice. Lawyers are supposed to project, right? He has a loud voice. He's overbearing. He's also successful at his job, or he wouldn't have been there for 30 some years. And you can't tell me he was protected by the union because he's in management and there's no union for management.
That's right.
There's no union for management. So this idea is absolutely dastardly and disgusting. And I think this story made my hands sweat. And I know you remember what happened to Shirley Sherrod, Doc. This is like the same damn thing.
Yep. Very good point, dear brother. And I will say this, just to remind people, the job that this attorney had was advocating for people. So when there was discrimination or unfair conditions, et cetera, he was the attorney, one of the attorneys, but a lead attorney to advocate for people and hold corporations accountable, right? So they mess with the right one on this one. We'll bring you updates as they come.